Hello and welcome to the Ocho Season 4 preview show. I am here with my co-host and three-time co-champion Kyle Qualls. Kyle, how excited are you for the new season?
I am so excited that I got my draft outfit back out, and I had no choice but to add some sunglasses because the future of the league is just that bright.
Well said. As we can see with the league logo, we have a couple new teams and a couple rebranded teams. We'll be revealing all that tonight, along with news and some predictions. A lot of content coming up, as well as an exclusive player interview with our latest free agent signing. Let's get into it. Let's recap season 3. Lick My Qualls champions for the third time in a row. We did it. Runners up were Team Priapism, first ever playoff appearance, but they look like one of the new league juggernauts now that Vigran's still on board. Chickenhawks made their first postseason appearance and came in third place. Very impressive. Frankchester United, in their first season, had a chance to make the playoffs, but lost in the last week of the season to the Hypnotoads, then lost a heartbreaking tiebreaker to Sandusky's Daycare, who, by the way, had made the playoffs every season, even though they made it in the last spot 2 of the 3. And Don't Blow It beat us yet again, and isn't that just nice? Kyle, what was your favorite moment from last season, other than us winning yet again?
Anytime DBI gets a win, I'm all for it. I just want to make it clear we're not like throwing for the meme, and we're not going to do it this season, but we are going to lose to them again.
Yes,
They have our
true.
number. We're not sure what to do about it. We'll get into the new playoff format a little bit later, but there will be choosing of opponents, and there's no way in hell we're choosing DBI if we get the chance.
Yeah, we will be staying as far away from them as possible for sure. Now let's move on to the rule changes for Season 4. There are a couple things that everyone should be aware of. Firstly, the niche rounds have changed. Instead of 4, we're going to have 2, quote, mixed niche rounds, which means that each of the 2 questions in the niche round, 1 will be for each team. So it'll just combine into 2 rounds. And each question will be worth 2 points. So you still get the same amount of niche points for the niche strong teams, Spencer's team, working at you. It's all good. Same amount of niche points. We just have 2 extra categories. Next, there are new category rules for game making. We're going to go over that in a minute. All the games are going to be much more structured. Hopefully that way Neil won't complain about not getting enough NBA questions from now on. Couple niche changes. TV shows now only need to have had 20 episodes for you to pick it. That's because of the length of a movie trilogy being roughly the same as 20, 30-minute episodes. A lot more fair there. And the continuously updated video game only needs to be released for 5 years instead of 10. Huge for Primos, I'm sure. You can do his Clash of Clans or whatever.
The rule changes slide should be renamed like we're compromising with Primos after years of complaining. So
And now I will not be bothering you to submit your schedule because you can do it yourself on a Google form. But the drawback of that is you better be responsible, because if you aren't, you're going to get penalized. If you are late for our Saturday at midnight deadline, the other team will receive 1 point for their game. If you do not submit your Google form until after noon on Sunday, it will be 2 points. And if it's after 5 p.m. on Sunday, that's the final deadline. You don't get to submit a form at all. You'll be docked 2 points, and the game will be scheduled just based on the other team's availability. If you can make it, great. If you can't, you forfeit. No ifs, ands, or buts. I really hope everyone can be on top of this, because it'll make our lives a lot easier. Because, Kyle, I think you'll agree with me when I say the least fun part about this is getting people to send in their schedules.
yep, yeah. I hate feeling like a pest, having to constantly hit up people, but no longer will I feel guilt for doing my job. So
Indeed, yeah. The sausage has to get the
we're
name.
not doing.
All right. Here's the new game format. So the way this is going to work is you're going to get 2 out of 3 of the 3 major sports in every game. Or you will get 1 of those and you'll get a sports major question that includes the other 2 or all 3 of them. So in essence, you'll get all 3 of those. So at minimum, you'll get 2 of the 3 every game. College sports, 1 of those questions per game, not including niches. Sports other, soccer, NHL, golf, etc., 1 per game. History and or geography, you'll have at least 1 of those per game. Music, TV, movies, at least 1 per game. The host will choose 2 more categories from the non-sports, any non-sports category, so you could double up on any of those or random things. And then the niche rounds have already been covered. There will only be 2 per game instead of 4 for a total of 10. Also, Every game will have a basketball and a football question, whether it be NFL and NBA or college sports or a mixed sports major question. Kyle, you excited to have some more structure, or did you like making your Qualls games?
Take I feel like Ethan games are really the ones that really deviated from this format, but anything that means I have to think less, I'm all for it. This new format will be great for teams that are good at categories.
Correct. Yes, being good at categories always been a strength in this league. Arguably, never been more important though. All right, on to some league news for the upcoming season. First, couple free agent moves. Alex and Leaf have joined the Chickenhawks. Spencer and Eli have gone to a new team, our only new team for this season. They'll be unveiling their logo and branding shortly here. Qualls. Out of those two teams, who do you think is going to be stronger this season?
Ooh, now dang it, now I have to remember who I put for the standings. I believe I put the Chickenhawks in third, and I have Spencer's new team in fourth.
Don't be spoiling all those things, Kyle. I'm saying it's not about
only
the
two
wins and
spots.
losses. In a vacuum, who's the stronger team, regardless of the wins?
In a vacuum, I think Alex, just in part because we don't know every player on Spencer's team, and Spencer will tell you himself he got the lesser twin. So I will say Alex is better.
Well,
Alex's team will be better.
I think this is probably the best time to read our message from Spencer, who called in. Here's his take on the season. I don't think he would agree with you because he said, "You'll be seeing a different Spencer this season. I think our team will be strong, but I don't want to inflate expectations. I think we'll be strongest pop culture team, hands down. I think Austin, that's their new player, makes the All-Star game, and Eli could too if he gets proper recognition now that he and Cam are separated. It's a lot of faith in Eli, who has like 2 correct answers in the history of the league." He said, "I personally don't like that Leaf jump ship." We'll be hearing from Leaf later about that. "Neil and Ethan were respectful when they left Frank." Not so sure about that. "But Leaf forced his way out after a semi-successful season. Frank Chester are underrated. He thinks it'll be a clear season of haves and have-nots, not a lot of parity. And lastly, he's been grinding in the Goosebumps wiki after the summer tournament letdown." So a lot to come from Spencer and the boys. Our next item, the rookie class. Austin has joined Spencer's team, and Steven has joined Frank Chester United. We welcome them to the league. Can't wait to meet them and see how good they are. Next, Neil is back as a host, and I'm sure everyone will just love that piece of news.
Especially Neil.
So the host for this season will be the two of us, Neil and Ethan, with PD hosting our games versus the Hypnotoads, as well as a couple spot starts. And Rolldale is now defunct. Arguably the second strongest team in league history is now gone. So obviously a big power vacuum there, and we'll see what happens. Time to talk about the fun change that everyone should be excited for. It's the Ocho Trivia Tournament, now reformatted. 8 teams will make the tournament up from 6. The division winners will be the 1 and 2 seed, and the runner-up will be the 3 and 4 seed, just as before. And now there will be 4 wildcard teams joining the tournament. Here's the fun part. The top 3 seeds will pick their opponent from the wildcard teams in order of preference. Seeds 2 through 8 will not know who they're playing until the final bracket reveals. All 4 regions of the tournament will be named after an infamous question from the host team's past. So, for example, if Chop House was hosting, you would have the Collins region. Or if Don't Blow was hosting, you might have the Norman Rockwell region. And lastly, the first round will be 10 categories, and the semis and finals will still be 15. The shorter categories could be more upsets. Kyle, do you like the changes?
Yeah, pretty good. I agree with you that the shorter games will lead to more parity and upsets, which I feel like this league is needing, so I think that's a good thing. And then also, they will be in the hunt longer, so they will want to, they will be trying longer, I should say. So, yes.
And we love trying in these parts. All right, Kyle, time for some team reveals. First up, we have our rebrand of an existing team. First ever playoff appearance last year, where they only received 1 player, but they brought in Alex and Andy. Expectations were very high. It is the Untitled Chapter. Qualls, what are your expectations for them this season?
Sorry. What was that?
What are your expectations for the Chickenhawks? And do you like the logo?
Yeah, that's definitely a chicken. I'm not sure what's going. I'm just not as I'm looking at it. I'm not sure what's going on with its heel. It looks like a drop of mustard came off of its heel.
Leaf design.
Yes, Leaf designed it. As you'll see in the interview with Leaf, very into it. Very into the league. So yeah, different color scheme. All in all, very good. Very good. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's that. And lastly, we have our one new team of the season. Spencer, one of the most engaged players in the whole league, is hoping to make a big impact. He's taking Eli, excuse me. Austin is guaranteed he's going to be an all-star. Who knows? Could be a very strong team. Spencer, Austin, Eli are Trivia Club. We'll see. Mixed reviews on the logo. I think Spencer did a great job. Some people don't love the name. Qualls, where do you fall on liking the rebrand here? Are you a fan?
I like the logo. I like the name. The main criticism in the commissioner group chat was that it's too esports. I don't know what that means. I think it's a good. I think it's a clean looking logo. Matt and I were talking about how the logo does look a little bit like Beedrill, and we feel like that may be an homage to Spencer's Pokemon knowledge. But regardless, I think it looks pretty good.
Right. We'll definitely be seeing Pokemon as a niche for this team. All right. Let's move on to some more topics. The Week 1 matchups, we're ready to reveal them, as well as the interdivisional matchups at the tail end of the season. Hive Mind Chickenhawks. So the Twins will be fighting it out in the first game of the season. We have the Chop House and Sandusky's, the only game that's been played opening week all 4 seasons. Very exciting. Wick My Qualls will be playing Team Priapism in a title rematch. Frankchester United against the Hypnotoads. The rivalry's kind of dwindled because it seems like everyone's been amicable, but you never know what'll happen. We'll see what Fa has up his sleeve. I think he could be up for a redemption arc this year.
Yep.
Don't blow up Muffin Men in the Chicago Showdown. No surprise there. And lastly, here are the interdivisional matchups. Hypnotoads play Don't Blow It. Chop House plays Chickenhawks. Muffin Men, Frankchester United. Another title rematch. Sandusky's Hive Mind. Remember, those are based on your finish in your division from last season. Kyle, which Week 1 game are you looking forward to most?
It's gotta from a purely like game standpoint, I gotta say it's Hive Mind Chickenhawks because these are 2 new teams. I mean, obviously the Chickenhawks are the same franchise, but a completely different team. And it'll be fun to see who wins their first matchup. Last season when we played Priapism in Week 1, we were just kind of the 2 leftover teams, but now that it's a title rematch, I feel like it has a little bit more weight. And Don't Blow It versus Muffin Men, obviously they're crosstown rivals, but I feel like people have already forgotten that Don't Blow It screwed Muffin Men out of a playoff spot in the last week of the season last year, so I'm really excited to see that one.
I did already forget that, to be fair. So there it is. All right. Here's some other notable matches. The schedule is set. It'll be coming out soon. Week 2 is Hypnotoads Priapism. That's a Fa versus Vigran rematch. They haven't played since that Week 2 game. Week 4, Chickenhawks Frankchester United. That'll be Leaf returning to face his old team. Week 7, we will take on Don't Blow It. That's when we'll lose our first game of the season. Possibly. I don't know if it'll be our first loss, but it will be a loss. And then weeks 9 and 14. Correct. Weeks 9 and 14. Hive Mind versus Sandusky's, dubbed that the Magic Treehouse game. PD not a fan of Spencer's niches. So those are probably the meanest games that we have in the whole calendar. So that's something to look forward to. Kyle, any of these games catching your eye?
I don't know. Well, obviously versus Don't Blow It. That's one I'm dreading. I do think it's kind of funny how, as we've gotten more familiar with the teams, we're starting to dub or like give names to matchups. It's kind of like in the Big Ten, how every game has like a trophy. Like when Minnesota beats Michigan, they get like a stack of pancakes or something like that at midfield. The Magic Treehouse games is a funny name, and I'm happy we have it.
Indeed. All right. Well, speaking of Matthew Peterson, he has left us a quite lengthy message roasting every other team in the league. So let's get into it. P. Matthew from Dallas, thanks for calling. Here it is. He says, Priapism, you're up first. Perhaps the biggest success for them this season isn't a championship, but rather that anyone learns the name of their third team member. Lick my Qualls. Banners fly forever, but that doesn't erase the fact that Don't Blow It has how many bearers flying of their triumph over you? Hypnotoads. I don't know what's more likely. Fa using a remote or blaming missing a question on the white race. Frankchester United. Very similar success to Manchester United of late, which I'm sure you would struggle to pinpoint what sport Manchester United is in. Chop House. Sup, little brother. Hope you enjoyed the bone you got last playoffs. Chickenhawks. I've brushed up on my Goodnight Moon trivia ahead of this season. Not the Chickenhawks anymore. New team, I'm just going to bypass the whole Liam Neeson speech and say your skull fucking will soon be coming. Don't blow it. I hope your ride on the short bus to the trivia ceremony tonight wasn't too bumpy. And lastly, Muffin Men, I don't even understand theirs, but he's not a fan. He says, for Jerry, Kyle, obviously they struggled last season. Any chance of the Sandusky's bounce back, or do you think they are what they are at this point?
I don't know if we could say we are what they are because even after 3 seasons, it's hard to know what they are. They went from in season one. A lot of the people watching this won't remember season one, which is pretty funny. So I will explain. In season one, we started with 8 teams, thus the Ocho. One of the teams dropped out, and so there were 7 teams with 6 playoff spots. Sandusky tied for the last one and then won a play-in against Priapism to make the playoffs. Then last year, they're like a golf question away from winning the title against us. And then again last year, or in season 3, they struggled mightily. So I have no idea what to make of them. Maybe they'll find some form again. It's tough to say.
It is impressive that the biggest wild card in our league is not either of the teams that are newly constructed, but one of the original teams. You are very
one of the mainstays of the league. Yep.
correct. All right, time for the playoff predictions. We'll be going back and forth. I'm going to start out with my number 1 seed, and that is going to be Lick My Qualls. We will lose to Don't Blow It. We'll probably lose a couple other games, but I don't think we'll lose enough to drop below the 1 seed. Qualls, you are up. You have also taken Lick My Qualls.
Yeah, I think we're pretty good. 4-peats don't happen often, which gives me some pause. I feel like the league has gotten stronger all around as people have gotten used to the format, but I still think we're going to get first place.
Well said. All right, my 2nd seed, a bit of a surprise here, but I think they're going to have a really strong year. I have Chop House. I'm not sure how they'll fare in the playoffs because they can be so random. I think they will have a good regular season, though. Footer, obviously, one of the league MVP candidates. Preston does a lot. Primos is pretty useful, too. Qualls, you've gone with Team Priapism.
Yeah, a bit of a milquetoast pick as they were the runner-ups last year, but with Vigran being who he is and Sean finding ways to contribute in niches and then Paulie even speaking every once in a while, they've just become a powerhouse.
Well said. All right, for my 3rd seed, I've gone with Priapism. A lot of what you've said, Vigran is just so good that it's hard to see them not winning a lot of games. And then they have Sean, one of the best niche players in the league and one of the most underrated players in the league. So the floor is pretty high for them, I would say. Kyle, your 3rd pick is the Chickenhawks.
Yes, Rolldale was of course one of the traditional powers, and if they were in the league still, we could easily pick them 3rd. And they got Alex, and they have Leaf and Cam, so maybe even better than Rolldale. Who's to say? We're not sure.
True. All right, for the 4th seed, I've gone with the Chickenhawks, so we haven't had too many big differences so far. I agree with you what you said. I think that Pags was the most underrated player in the league. He's gone. Alex has 2 new teammates. I think Cam is definitely an upgrade on Griffin, but the question is, can Leaf replicate enough of Pags' production? Leaf, about as good on the NBA, obviously way, 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 way worse in the NFL, but Alex has a lot of NFL knowledge to balance that out. The question is that Leaf is very good at non-sports stuff, especially pop culture. If he can get a lot of those that Pags wasn't getting, he might be able to make up that difference and they can be just as strong. Kyle, your 4 seed is Hive Mind.
Yeah, Spencer, obviously one of the best players in the league. It's very hard for me to again. Last year, the Chickenhawks, or last season rather, they didn't have a huge amount of scoring, but they still won games, and Apparently, the new guy is very good, according to Spencer. So yeah, I have him 4.
Okay. For my fifth seed, I've gone with Sandusky's Daycare. I believe in the even year Sandusky's magic. Um, I actually had them seventh like an hour ago, and then I got a very strong vision that someone on their team, who I will pick later, will be a dark horse MVP candidate. I think they'll be strong. I see them being right in that 4 or 5 mix. Kyle, this is where we differ a little bit in our lists. You've gone with Chop House number 5.
Yeah, not for lack of talent, but maybe for lack of interest or taking the league seriously during the regular season. Uh, the teams above them, they're always on their game. Chop House, you never know if Primos could be like drunk and walking away from a Braves game or what. So I'm not going to pick them to miss the playoffs. I will say that prediction looked pretty good when they were 0-4. I said they got like every season they get off to a good start and then they collapse. And I said if they didn't get off to a good start, they could be in trouble. They didn't get off to a good start and then they just completely recovered and beat a bunch of really good teams. So yeah, very hard to put them lower than 5.
Okay, my 6 seed, I've gone with Hive Mind. I'm a little lower on them because I treat new players with skepticism always, especially, we've had some people come in possibly even last season that came in with very big talk, then didn't necessarily back it up. So I'll wait until I see what we have in Austin. I have no doubt that he'll be good if Spencer says so, but how good is the question? Um, Spencer didn't have too much help, but Eli is still there, and I think Cam was, like you said, probably the stronger of the twin players, especially with the Nerf guns niche. So I think a lot is going to fall on Austin. But the thing is that Spencer is the only player in the entire league who actively studies just to get better at trivia. So he might make a big jump in sports this year just because he's trying so hard, and we can't overlook that. All right, yeah. Kyle, your 6 seed is Sandusky.
Very active. Yeah, I will say Spencer's been very active in our fantasy baseball league, which should make everyone else a little bit scared. Yeah, same spot they finished last season. They're a team with a pretty high floor. I feel like they could easily be higher, but I just don't have enough confidence in them to put them above any of those other teams. But they definitely, I mean, obviously they've been to a final, so that they definitely could be higher.
Right. All right. 2 spots left in the playoff for each of us. My 7 seed is Frankchester United. I think they will be this low despite having a very good question percentage, which I'll dig into more later. That's exactly what happened last year. Once again, it's kind of an underseeding because we just don't know what we have in Steven. He's a big sports guy that could be fantastic. They might be the biggest wild card this year for my money because there's just the biggest variance. Because Craig, Spencer, somewhat equal in the fact that very good at half the game. However, I think Spencer offers more in terms of sports and the niches. So Frankchester United really needs a big sports guy, but if they get it, they could be amazing. Kyle, your 7 seed is also Frankchester United.
Yeah, a lot to like with this team. They clearly overperformed expectations last year, but that's probably because our expectations were irrationally low. We thought they would be just kind of a meme team, and Craig and Leaf immediately dispelled that. Leaf is obviously gone, but Craig is legit, so definitely a playoff team for me.
All right, my last team in is the Hypnotoads. I think Neil will finally get his act together enough to come in 8th. I think Thaw could be a decent player. I think Thaw came in, obviously, some stuff happened. I think we're past that as a league now, thank God. But I think that rattled him. He was a little bit unfocused the rest of the season. It seemed like there were a lot of questions he knew the answer to, and he just wasn't paying attention. If he's more focused this year, if Neil can not be so negative towards his teammates, I think they could turn it around enough to come in 8th. Ethan will hit some name puzzles. But, I'm not going to be the one believing in Neil to not be negative. So we'll leave them at 8th, but it's not a confidence pick. And Kyle, for your final team in, you've gone with Don't Blow It to make the playoffs for the first time.
Yes, I am picking Don't Blow It. It's an 18 playoff. Don't let me down. They got 1 win against us already, so that basically count it. They're 1-0. Everyone else is 0-0. We're 0-1. I'm really like holding on to that 5-week span in season 2 where they won 3 out of 5. I see that and I see the potential, and I'm just like, all right, you guys are right there. I really need you to just get it together, and I think they will. I don't have a ton of confidence in the Hypnotoads because, as I found out this summer, Neil is an oppressive force, the likes of which haven't been seen since the Jim Crow South. So I just can't pick them to make the playoffs. And then Muffin Men, I love the Muffin Men, but it's just the way it is. Someone's gonna get left out. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you playing for Neil this summer is akin to a player going to the World Cup like minor with like a minor injury, and then the manager just like runs them into the ground, and they come back to their club team and are never the same. I'm worried about your performance this season because of how much Neil rattled you during the summer. So I really hope that we've had a full mental rest and recovery from you. But that is a very good point about Neil. And Don't Bullet has the best team chemistry, of these teams. Interestingly, the only team neither of us picked to make the playoffs, Muffin Men, they're not a bad team. Calvin's a great player. So, it's all up in the air for sure. I'm sure they won't be happy with that, but, we both had to leave someone out. No hard feelings, guys. And
More
I will say,
material.
I played with Mars this summer, and he was a fantastic player in the championship game. So I have faith in them, but, you gotta cut someone somewhere. So those are our player predictions. Anyone who is slighted will surely reach out to us in the chat for those. Here's our Ocho's best of here. We tried to pick the best player per category with a couple restrictions. We couldn't pick the same player for multiple categories, and if one of us picked a player for one category, the other couldn't. So it was obviously a lot of restrictions, not necessarily who we think is the best player in every category, bar none, but we just try to give a lot of people recognition for things they're talented in. Qualls, I'm going to run through my list real quick, then you're going to do the same. NFL, I have Vigran. He could have gone in like 5 different categories. NBA, Fletcher, I think he's top 3 minimum at NBA. People forget Fletcher was the season 2 MVP. I feel like that was like so forgotten at this point, but he's a really good player. I pick you for the MLB.
Like the Cody Bellinger of this league.
Correct. MLB is, I think, the weakest sport, even including like other sports. I think there's like 3 good MLB players total. You're picked basically for your home run derby knowledge instead of your actual Major League Baseball knowledge, but congratulations, you made my list. Footer for the NHL, no brainer. Neil for college basketball. Admittedly, I waited until I didn't have many options left, but he's a good player overall. I don't know if necessarily college basketball is his strength, but there we go. College football, I took Will, SEC school. I have a lot of faith in Will this season, as we'll see. I took myself for soccer because I'd already used Footer and Spencer, but Spencer, but I know some soccer, wearing a soccer jersey right now. Golf, I took my main man, Noah. I don't think there's any question he's the best golf guy in the league. Geography, I took Calvin because I remember in the Calvin game in season 2, he knew all those landmarks in Europe, but I don't know how good he is at geography overall, at least compared to some of the other options, but, he was my pick there. History, Craig, I think I got the best guy there easily. Movies, Spencer, same thing. Preston, I think, is underrated, especially when it comes to music. Big music guy, has some good niches, very underrated player. Happy with him in that spot. TV shows, I took Leaf because he's used This Is Us, that's a TV show as a niche. He's used Lego Ninjago, which is a TV show. And he seems to be just kind of a general pop culture guy. So another low priority pick for me, but I'm happy with who I got. Arts and sciences, I took the other med school guy because you already took Sean. Pretty simple there. Name puzzle, Ethan. I think Ethan probably is the best name puzzler in the league. Food, I took Miller because I don't know. He eats food, I'm pretty sure. So there we go. That might have been my last pick. It might not have been. We don't know. And niches, I took Alex. I think that was an easy pick. So yeah, shout out to those players for being good at those categories. Qualls, you can just run through your list in the same fashion.
Yeah, so NFL, I took Alex. He's really good at a lot of things. I really wanted to put Leaf's phone a friend, but that was against the rules. Leaf prides himself on NBA knowledge, so that's a good pick there. Matt, you are clearly, I think it's common knowledge, you're clearly the best MLB player in the league. NHL, Noah, he knows hockey, I think. College basketball, Vigran. There isn't a player who knows any one category better than Vigran knows college basketball. College football, Fletcher, because just a all-around good sports trivia guy. Soccer, I picked Ethan because he does, in fact, know several things about soccer. Golf, I picked Mars because Mars is a very good golf player. Geography, see, Matt thinks I forgot that Craig was available. But the truth is, I'm pretty sure EJ has gotten geography questions before. History, PD, that's a bit of a no-brainer. Movies, Fa, again, we talk about this all the time, how they had Oscar-winning foreign films or whatever as a niche, and Fa just knocked it out of the park, and then they haven't used it since. But he's clearly amazing at that. Calvin with his Dave Matthews Band knowledge is the music guy. TV shows Spencer. I make a lot of categories about TV, and Spencer seems to always get them. I talk about reality TV, obviously Survivor. I hadn't even factored that into the equation, but anytime I make a category about trashy network TV, Spencer always knows it. Arts and sciences, Sean, human muscles and human bones. Enough said. Name puzzle, Pauly. I think he gets those. Food, Frank, because as we all know, Frank is the upper crust of society, and so he eats at only the finest restaurants. And then niches, I put Cam for his Nerf gun knowledge.
Yep. So there we go. Like I said, it's not necessarily the best at every position, but we try to give a lot of people recognition. So well done, everyone on the list. Once again, I'm sure anyone who's mad will text us, or if you guys think that someone at any of these categories was underrepresented or like a sneaky pick, let us know. Moving on, it's time for the two categories that will get us made fun of more than anything else. We're going sleeper team MVP picks. Qualls, we both took one sleeper team. We both took two MVP candidates. We'll go in order. My sleeper team, I've already alluded to this, is Frankchester United. They are boomer bust, I think. If this Stephen kid knows sports, they could be really, really strong. I still don't think the record will match the question percentage because that's just the way they seem to be as a team. But if they sneak into the playoffs, they could be underseeded with a high question percentage. That's a recipe for disaster for a higher seed. Kyle, your sleeper team is Don't Blow It.
Yep. I'm buying as much Don't Blow It stock as I can, and I don't care if I lose the house. No one's expecting them to make the playoffs, but they're due. I've been saying they're due for a while, but trust me, they're due.
Well said. All right. My first MVP pick is Footer. I think Footer probably should have won one by now. Maybe he's even underrated because people have kind of forgotten how good he is. Baseball, hockey, music, basically everything, but those are his three strongest categories. Really good player. If Chop House finishes the 2 seed, I don't see any way he doesn't win MVP because if we're the 1 seed, no one will vote for any of us because that's what it always goes. Qualls, your first MVP pick is Vigran.
Yeah, obviously a very easy pick to make, but I don't see him slowing down anytime soon, and I have Priapism as my number 2 seed. So if they do that, then it'll be hard to pick against Vigran.
Worth noting that the best player on the 2 seed has won MVP every season so far.
True.
So
yes.
if they're going to be the 2 seed in your picks, you might as well take their star player. All right. I've gone for a bit of a sleeper here. Like I said, I had someone else, but an hour ago, this came to me like it was a dream. I have a lot of faith. Will is my sleeper MVP. He was amazing in that one game in the summer tournament. I think that has awoken something inside of him, and he's going to kill it this year. I think Sandusky's strong. He can pick up the slack if anyone struggles. Watch out for Will. I think no way he wins it if they're the 5 seed, like I said, but if they go higher than that, why not? Kyle, your final MVP pick is Spencer.
Yeah. One of the people who we constantly talk about as being in the air of MVP level players, but hasn't won it yet. New look team, maybe get some more attention from the voters. And if they overachieve and if they're as good as if Austin is as good as Spencer says he's going to be, then they'll be obviously a very high seed. So it'll be easy to vote for Spencer if that happens.
Well said. So there are our picks. And last but not least, now we're really going to get made fun of because it's bold prediction time. My first one is that Priapism will win the title. I've long said that Lick My Qualls is like a roaming samurai who nobody can defeat, and all we want is someone to beat us so we can die in peace. Yeah. I think it'll finally happen. Let's be honest, we were dead in the water in that championship game until that dictators category and the Chiang Kai-shek.
That was literally, this just came to me, that was literally Ray Allen's 3. We were done. The other team was already popping the champagne.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this time I think they get over the line. Your first bold prediction.
DVI wins a playoff game. And if you piece together things I've said throughout this broadcast, we're not going to pick them. They are going to make the playoffs. So they're going to beat a non-Lick My Qualls team in the first round. Why? Because it has to happen eventually. Something absolutely crazy that no one sees coming. Playoffs so far have been fairly upset-free, but this new format should make it easier for an upset. So not only am I picking DBI to make the playoffs, they're going to win a playoff game.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with the upsets. All right, my next bold prediction is that Franchester United will finish top three in question percentage. They were fifth last year. If they have a big sports guy who can help them with more than just NBA, I don't see why they can't go even higher. Like I said, I think they're going to outperform their win loss with their question percentage, so that makes them even more dangerous in the playoffs. Kyle?
Neil gives up by week 3. I think they could lose week 1 to Frankchester United, who I think is a pretty good team. And then even if they win week 2, I think Neil will be like, well, what's the point? He's so defeatist. He's basically admitted on many occasions that he's just here to create content. So I think we could see the like most dejected Neil earliest in the season that we've ever seen. So yeah.
Indeed. All right, and my last prediction is that Don't Bullet beats us again. I guess it's not that bold because we've been saying it the whole show, but it's going to happen. Might as well put it in here. And hey, if I'm wrong, no one can make fun of me because it means I won. So
Yeah.
good for me, but not good for me because we're going to lose. Kyle, your last prediction.
We will have 3 double-digit win teams. We have kind of run the table a bit in the past 3 seasons. I think we've lost 5 games total. Is that right? Yeah. So
2 to Don't Bullet, 2 to Sandusky's, 1 to Rolldale.
yes, yeah. The 3 horsemen of the apocalypse. And I think as people have gotten better at trivia and figured out the format a little bit more, it's going to even out a little bit. So I could see having 3 strong teams with a little bit more parity all around. I know Spencer earlier mentioned that he thinks there will be haves and have-nots. I think there will be quite a bit of parity.
I would agree. I see the most parity of any season, especially in the playoffs, obviously with our new format. I think it's very exciting. And I would agree that I see us losing some games this year. I mean, I still confident in our team. We both have us the 1 seed, but I don't think it'll be a 13-1 type of situation. So there it is. Those are our bold predictions. Go make fun of us when we're wrong. Make fun of us even when we're right. That's kind of the way it works. We will wrap up now with our player interview. We have Leaf, the newest member of the Chickenhawks, joining us live from an unnamed location with almost no video service, but we're told his sound will be clear. So we will take it to that interview. Kyle, thank you for joining me for the remainder of the show. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in 3 weeks as we get season 4 underway. All right, we are here with one of the signings of the offseason, Leaf, the newest member of the Chickenhawks. Leaf, how excited are you to be with your new team?
You know, I'm stoked. You know, when I thought that going into the off season that there was a possibility of me creating my own team, I was a little worried that I was not going to be able to find the talent. And honestly, I'm glad this fell right into my lap. All right, I got 2 great players, and I couldn't be happier. You know, instead of just signing Alex and then having to find the 3rd player, I get Alex and Cam. I couldn't be happier.
All right. Leaf, how do you think this team is going to compare to Rolldale? We obviously, Alex is the commonality between the 2, and we knew all of Rolldale's players and we know all these players. So how do you think they will compare?
Honestly, I don't know that much about Rolldale. I looked at them as not a threat in the regular season. I was like, they have Alex. I think actually when we played them, I think there might have been one game where we played Alex and none of his teammates. I think that was one of the games. And I think we won. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we won. So, you know, giving Alex that extra firepower, if he almost beat Frankchester United, I mean, Craig's also a strong player, you know. Me and Craig together formed a great team. Frank was Frank. But but you know, I think that giving Alex some extra firepower, y'all are gonna have some competition.
All right.
We're not letting you, Matt.
All right. So we had a couple listener questions, and they're kind of in the same vein. So I'm going to read them off and give you my question to sum them up. So first we have Neil D from New Jersey, first time, long time here. He says, how does Leaf feel about being a ring chaser? And then we have Will H from the other side of my apartment who says snake emoji question mark. So my question to you, Leaf, is how do you feel about being the first player in league history to leave a team where you're actually friends with people to go to a team solely for winning purposes?
Okay. Here's the thing, all right? And this is behind the scenes stuff that not everyone's seeing. Craig, Frank, and I had some conversations late in the season. We knew, hey, this isn't working out. We're not where we want to be. And how can we make this situation better for all of us? And we looked at it as, Craig is closer to Frank than I am. And when they actually recruited me to the team, they were looking for a sports person. And I told them, I got NBA knowledge. We'll be fine. And I didn't realize how much sports knowledge is really required for this. And we mutually agreed to part ways. So I wouldn't look at it as, hey, I'm leaving to ring chase. We mutually agreed it wasn't the best for all three of us for me to stay on the team. It was, I'm still wishing them the best. Who knows what Steven's going to bring? But I'm still wishing them the best, and I hope they're wishing me the best. And this was just a no-brainer decision. I'm not that great. I'm not like a Kevin Durant just asking for a trade request to like the Suns or the Heat. All right, I'm not doing that. I'm more that Robert Horry type that's getting to the team and winning the championships anyway. So I hope that's a good parallel, and I hope to bring an end to that ring chaser narrative. But hey, we saw what I was able to do this offseason with Twitter and the changing lineup, and we gave you guys a tough match. I really feel better that me, Alex, and Cam have a good shot.
Okay, that's quite the scoop there. Kyle,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, I believe the term Matt used was inside baseball. So how do you think that your skill set will complement your new teammates and vice versa? Will you be able to cover for each other's weaknesses, do you think?
Honestly, I know very little about their games. I've never played with them. But what I do know is that they bring more to the table than Frank and Craig. And it's not a shot at Frank and Craig. They're great players. It's true. Look at the stats. All right, look at the stats. So I heard that there was a weakness in NBA and MLB, and I mean, you can look at the stats again. We didn't get any MLB questions right last season, but going into the situation, I think we're going to approach it kind of like what Frank Chester did last season with football. None of us knew football, but we used our phone a friend every week on football, and we got through that way. And I think that doing something similarly for MLB, with me bringing the NBA knowledge, we're going to be able to cover all areas, and I feel pretty good going into the season.
Okay. So my next question is, can you give us a prediction for the season for your team, the Chickenhawks?
All right. Prediction?
Yes.
So I'm gonna use last season as a baseline. Going into the season, I looked at it as, hey, I'm a new guy. Craig's a new guy, even though, well, then there's Frank. And we're going into this saying, we're going to do our best. And we got off to a slow start. I think we had losing records for most of the season, if not all of the season. And we looked at it as, hey, eventually we're going to pick it up. If we had a better start, I think we would have done a lot better. This season, we're all veterans. It's weird to call myself, I don't know if I can call myself a veteran, but the three of us all have experience. We're coming into this saying, hey, we win those first couple of games. We build some confidence. We go into this. We're sweeping our way to the title. All right. We're the 83 76ers, fo. But I guess 1-1-1. And we're doing it.
Okay. Wow. Bold call there. Kyle, round us out with our last question of the night.
I'll be honest, I don't totally remember the last question, but I think it was something like, how does this team compare to Frank Chester? And do you have any trash talk for them?
Okay. I feel like I've trash talked Frank enough in this interview. Here's the thing.
Frank's not going to watch
this. Frank and I have had a healthy rivalry for our whole lives. And Craig, you guys know how I feel about Craig. Both of them, great people. I think that with Steven, they have a good shot of actually making the playoffs this year. As for us, I don't think there's a shot we make the playoffs. I think we're a lock. I think compared to Frank Chester United, I think we're going to do good, but we're going to do better. We're coming for the title for real. And I feel it. All right. This has to be one of the first times that someone scalped a player off another team, and I guess two players, because Cam technically took two players from other teams. And I really think that this is the formula. It's like, I actually don't have a comparison, but I really feel good. I'm going to be rooting for Franchester United. You know, at the end of last season, when we lost to the Hypnotoads in the game that would have sent us to the playoffs, you know, I really thought that they were going to help Frank reach the playoffs. If we run into that same situation where we're not making the playoffs and Frank's on the cusp, you know, I think things might turn out a little differently. That's to say that we wouldn't be making the playoffs, and we're definitely making the playoffs. So that's not happening. But I think we're going to be. I think we're going to be friendly. I think we have a lot of people looking out for us from all different teams. Well, a lot of people are going to think we're snakes. I think that across the board, we're going to have people rooting for us because, to be honest, we're the only ones that have a shot at taking you guys down. And I mean, it's like, all right, Cavs or Warriors. Everyone was rooting for the Cavs, all right, except for the Warriors fans. But everyone doesn't want to see the Warriors win year after year, right? Same thing. No one wants to see you guys win year after year. So I think as the season goes on, we're building up, you know, better record, better crushing percentage. We're gonna really pick it up. I think people are gonna be looking to us as, you know, the team that's gonna do it. I know that that was a roller coaster. I took the question a whole different direction, but you know what? I think I made my point clear.
Oh, good. It's great content.
Yes, well, there it is. Leaf, a lot of confidence for his new team. Thank you very much for joining us, and best of luck in the season.